Every single second of every day, there's an invisible war raging inside of you. You're constantly being exposed to all sorts of infectious agents, bacteria, viruses, you name it, all of them trying to set up camp and cause some serious trouble. And yet, most of the time, you don't even notice. How is that possible? Well, it's thanks to one of the most sophisticated, most powerful forces on the planet, your immune system. So how does this whole thing work? Let's dive into the incredible story of your body's two armies.
And I'm not being hypothetical here. Seriously, right now, as you're listening to this, your body is actively defending itself from invaders. But how does it even know what to fight? And what kind of weapons does it have? Well, the answer lies in this amazing tale of two armies, two totally distinct branches of your immune system that have to work together to keep you safe.
And here they are, the two major divisions of your internal defense force. First up, you've got the innate immune system. Think of this as your first line of defense. They're the sentries on the wall, the general patrol. They're super fast, they're always on, and they are ready to engage any threat immediately. And then you have the adaptive immune system. Now this is your second line of defense. These are the highly trained special forces, the ones you call in when an invasion gets really serious.
Okay, this table really breaks down the key differences between our two armies. Just look at the contrast, right? Your innate army, it responds in minutes, maybe hours. It's incredibly fast, but it's not specific. It just attacks general patterns that it recognizes as bad guy. And here's the key, it has no memory. The adaptive army, on the other hand, is slow. It can take days to fully get going. But, and this is a big but, it is unbelievably specific. It targets one particular invader with pinpoint accuracy. And its secret weapon? It remembers. It never ever forgets an enemy it's fought before.
So, let's set the scene for our story. A pathogen, let's say it's a nasty bacterium, has decided to invade your body. Its first challenge isn't even the innate army itself, but the literal fortress that is your body. But this time the enemy finds a way through. The walls have been breached.
See, before any cell even gets involved, your body has all these amazing built-in defenses. Your skin is a physical wall. It's tough and hard to get through. The mucus in your nose and throat, that acts like sticky flypaper, just trapping invaders. You've got chemical traps, like fatty acids in your sweat. Your stomach is literally an acid moat with a super low pH. And you even have flushing systems, like tears and saliva, that just wash invaders right out. But our little bacterium was clever. It got past all those fortifications, maybe through a tiny cut in your skin. The second it gets in, alarms start blaring. Damaged cells release chemical signals that cause inflammation, and that's the beacon, the bat signal, that calls the innate army to action. The first responders are scrambled.
So who are these first responders? Well, leading the charge are the neutrophils. These are your foot soldiers. There are tons of them, over half your white blood cells, and they're always the first to the fight, just swarming the area. They're followed by the mighty macrophages, the big eaters, or as I like to call them, the garbage trucks of the immune system. They don't just gobble up invaders, they also clean up the whole battlefield, getting rid of dead cells and debris. And patrolling right alongside them are the natural killer cells, or NK cells. They're the sentinels, and they have a very special job. Find and eliminate any of your own cells that have gone rogue, either because they're infected with a virus or because they become cancerous.
So how do cells like neutrophils and macrophages actually take out the enemy? Well, their main weapon is a process called phagocytosis, which basically just means cell eating. And it is wild to watch. The cell literally extends itself out to engulf the microbe, wrapping its arms all the way around it. Then it traps it inside this little bubble called a phagosome. And for the final step, these little sacs full of destructive enzymes, called lysosomes, merge with that bubble and just obliterate the invader. It's brutal.
All right, so the first responders are on the scene, they're containing the threat, but during the fight, they realize, this isn't just some random troublemaker, this is a serious, organized pathogen. They're holding the line, but they know they're going to need backup. It's time to call in the special forces.
Now, to call in the special forces, you need good intel. And in the world of immunology, the most important piece of intelligence is something called an antigen. The best way to think of an antigen is as the enemy's uniform, its flag, or maybe even its mugshot. It's a unique molecule on the surface of the pathogen that your immune system can use to identify it as a very specific threat.
So how does this critical piece of intel get from the battlefield to headquarters? This is where a heroic little cell called the dendritic cell comes into play. It acts like an intelligence agent. It gobbles up a pathogen, breaks it down, and then takes a piece of it, that antigen, and wears it on its own surface like a trophy. It then travels from the site of the infection to the nearest lymph node, which is basically a military command center, and that's the handoff. The dendritic cell is the bridge, carrying the intel from the general innate response to wake up the highly specific adaptive army. Inside that lymph node, the dendritic cell sounds the alarm. It presents that enemy antigen to the sleeping giants of your immune system, the adaptive army. And now, these elite special forces are awake, and they are custom trained and activated for one mission and one mission only, to find and destroy this specific pathogen.
Okay, so the adaptive army has two main units. First, you've got the T cells. These are your special ops soldiers. Some of them are called cytotoxic T cells, and their job is to hunt down and kill your body's own cells that have been infected and turned into enemy factories. Other T cells, called helper T cells, act like generals, commanding and activating all the other immune cells. Then you have the B cells, and you can think of these as the weapons factory. When they get activated, they start pumping out millions of these highly specific smart bombs called antibodies.
And the way this system is set up is so clever, because these two units tackle the enemy in different places. The T cells are part of what we call cell-mediated immunity, and they are experts at dealing with threats inside your cells, like when a virus is hiding out. But the B cells' antibodies, that's humoral immunity, and they are perfect for targeting microbes floating around outside your cells, in your blood or other fluids. See, they cover all the bases.
For the most important word here is specifically. These antibodies are not general-purpose weapons at all. They are custom designed to recognize and bind to one particular antigen, and absolutely nothing else. They swarm the pathogens, either clumping them up so they can't do any harm, or tagging them, which basically paints a giant target on their backs, making it way easier for those garbage truck macrophages to find and destroy them. It is a targeted, efficient, and totally devastating attack.
So, between the T cells destroying the infected cells and the antibodies clearing out all the free-floating pathogens, the invasion is crushed. It's a victory. The body returns to normal. But this is not the end of the story. In fact, you could argue the most incredible part of the adaptive immune system is what it does next. You see, the adaptive system doesn't just win the war, it prepares for all future wars with that exact same enemy. It creates something called immunological memory. After the infection is cleared out, some of the specialized T cells and B cells that fought in that battle stick around for years, sometimes for your entire life, as memory cells. They're the veterans of that specific war, just waiting. This is something we've all experienced, right? If you've had a disease like chickenpox, you probably won't get it again. And why is that? It's because the second time that virus shows up, maybe years later, your army of memory cells recognizes it instantly. That adaptive response, which took days to build the first time, now kicks into high gear within hours. The invasion gets shut down so fast, you probably never even feel a single symptom.
And that right there, that brings us to one of the greatest triumphs of modern medicine. This very principle of immunological memory is the magic that makes vaccines work. A vaccine introduces a safe version of a pathogen's antigen, its mugshot, to your immune system. It allows your body to go through the whole process, to build that powerful army of memory cells, that library of past enemies, without ever having to get sick from the actual disease. It's like giving your special forces the enemy's playbook before the battle even begins. So there you have it, an incredible two-part defense force that is both brutally efficient and beautifully precise. It's a system that learns, that adapts, and that remembers. But it all relies on one absolutely crucial ability, telling the difference between you and not you. So what happens when that system of recognition breaks down? What happens when this powerful, intelligent army makes a mistake and turns its weapons against the very body it's sworn to protect? Well, that's the story of autoimmune disease, and a fascinating topic for another day.